press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello dear students, in the last session we completed the human reproduction chapter. So in this session I am going to discuss about assignment questions. So the first question is, which of the following hormone is secreted from both ovary and placenta? So they are given 4 options: HCG, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, so that is secreted only by the placenta only, and HPL, it is also, that is human placental lactogen, that is secreted by again placenta. Relaxin, it is secreted by placenta. Okay, now then here they have given which hormone is secreted from both ovary and as well as placenta, so it is relaxin. See, the relaxin hormone is also produced in the ovary by the corpus luteum. So after the ovulation, the corpus luteum forms, no, that corpus luteum secrete estrogen, small amount of estrogen, more amount of progesterone and inhibin. Apart from the 3 hormones, it will also secrete a relaxin. Okay, so the hormone which is secreted from both ovary and the placenta is relaxin. Okay, so after the ovulation, it is believed to relax the wall of the uterus. Okay, so thereby it prepare it for pregnancy, and at the time of childbirth, no, at the time of childbirth, that relaxin hormone it relaxes the ligaments of the pelvis, so assisting in childbirth. So the hormone which is secreted both from the ovary and placenta is relaxin. Okay, so the placenta secrete relaxin, and in the ovary the relaxin hormone is secreted by corpus luteum. Then ovulation from mature Graafian follicles is facilitated by MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone, luteotropic hormone, luteinizing hormone, FSH hormone. See, ovulation will occur on the middle of the menstrual cycle, that is 14th day of the menstrual cycle. So that ovulation, it is because of which hormone? It is because of LH surge, right? So the LH hormone will goes to a peak level during the middle of the menstrual cycle. So that is called as LH surge. So the LH surge will causes the rupture of Graafian follicle. Okay, so LH surge will causes the rupture of Graafian follicle, so that the secondary oocyte is released. Okay, so the ovulation is because of which hormone? Luteinizing hormone, LH hormone. Then question number 3rd. So which one of the following are believed to aid fertilization by aiding the movement of sperm towards the ovum with peristaltic contraction of the uterus and the fallopian tubes? Hyaluronidase, fructose, acrosin, a type of eicosanoids. Okay, so here once the sperms are deposited in the vagina of the female, so they start traveling. So their movement is because of, one is the beating action of the flagella, and another one is what prostaglandins, no, that prostaglandin is present in the seminal fluid that causes the contraction of the muscles of the uterus and fallopian tube. So thereby the contraction of uterus and the fallopian tube and the beating action of flagella will carry, so that the sperms will move towards the site of fertilization. Okay, so it is a type of eicosanoids, that is a fatty acids. So prostaglandins are an example for eicosanoids. Okay, the 4th option. Then the question number 8. Requirement to produce 200 spermatozoa. So they have given 4 options here. They have given only 100 primary spermatocytes. They have given 100 primary spermatocytes and only 200 secondary spermatocytes and only 50 secondary spermatocytes and only 200 spermatids. Only 200 spermatids. So 4 options they have given. See, from one primary spermatocyte, so how many sperms are produced? 4 sperms are produced. Okay, so then the number of primary spermatocytes required to produce 200 spermatozoa are 50. Only 50. Okay, na? Then So the primary spermatocytes, the secondary spermatocytes will form, no? The secondary spermatocyte will undergo a second meiosis, and each secondary spermatocyte produces, when it divides, it produces again the two spermatids, okay? So from each secondary spermatocyte, the two spermatozoa are formed, right? So here they are given 200 spermatozoa. So the number of secondary spermatocytes required to produce a 200 spermatozoa is 100. Okay, then here also they are given 50 secondary spermatocytes. This is also wrong because the number of secondary spermatocytes required is 100 and 200 spermatids. So the number of the requirement to produce 200 spermatozoa. So 200 spermatids is the right answer because each spermatid, so once the meiosis completes, so the secondary spermatocytes will give rise to what? The spermatids. Again, these spermatids will undergo a transformation to form functional sperms. So that process it is called as spermiogenesis. So here the requirement, how many to produce 200 spermatozoa, how many spermatids are required? 200 spermatids are required. So the answer is 4. Question number 12. Human placenta is hemochorial, syndesmochorial, yolk sac and hemoendothelial. Human placenta is hemochorial placenta. Okay, so why it is called hemochorial placenta? Because the chorionic villi produce no. So that chorionic villi, that is from the fetal side, it closely interdigitated with the wall of the endometrium. Okay, na? So that results that is what that gives that results in implantation. Okay, na? So the placenta it is formed both from the fetal side and as well as from the maternal side. Okay, so in human beings the placenta it is called as hemochorial placenta because the blood vessels, no, the blood vessels of the chorionic villi, they directly bathed in the maternal blood. Okay, so here the uterine tissue is completely eroded and the blood vessels of chorionic villi, no, they completely bathed in the maternal blood. Okay, so that type of placenta is called as what? Hemochorial placenta. Because the blood vessels of chorionic villi, they directly bathed in the maternal blood. So that type of placenta is called as hemochorial placenta. Then question number 13. The fluid which envelops the developing fetus is called chorionic fluid, placenta fluid, amniotic fluid and uterine fluid. See, the developing fetus will develop 4 extra embryonic membranes. Okay, the 4 extra embryonic membranes in human beings are chorion, amnion, allantois, yolk sac. So these are the 4 extra embryonic membranes that form during the early embryonic development that completely that surrounds the embryo. Okay, na? So that amnion, the fetal that is membrane, it covers the fetus immediately. Okay, so that forms a cavity that is called as amniotic cavity. So that amniotic cavity is filled with what? See, this is the embryo, right? This is the embryo. So surrounding the embryo is the amnion layer. This is the amnion layer. What is the cavity present here? That amniotic cavity. So what is the fluid present in the amniotic cavity? That is amniotic fluid. Okay, so the fluid which envelops the developing fetus. So this fluid is enveloping the developing fetus. No. So what is that fluid called? It is amniotic fluid. Then next is the phase of menstrual cycle in human that lasts for 7 to 8 days is follicular phase, and the second one is ovulatory phase, the third one is luteal phase and the fourth one is menstruation. Okay, so which last for 7, they asked which phase will last for 7 to 8 days. So you know that in menstrual cycle menstrual cycle, it occurs in 4 phases, right? The first is menstrual phase. The first is menstrual phase. The second one is follicular phase. Follicular phase. The third one is ovulation. And the last one is the secretory phase or the luteal phase. Okay. So the menstrual phase lasts for 1 to 5 days and the follicular phase is 6th to 13th day. Ovulation occurs on the 14th day and the luteal phase is from 15th to 28th day. So what is the question here? Phase of menstrual cycle in human that lasts for 7 to 8 days. So which phase will last for 7 to 8 days? This is follicular phase. The follicular phase will last for 7 to 8 days. Okay. So the option is the first one. Question number 15. The spermatogonia develop through division. Amitosis, mitosis, meiosis first, meiosis second. So what are spermatogonia? So the spermatogonia are the, see here you know the testis, structure of testis, right? Externally each testis it is covered by germinal epithelium, testis, you know the structure of testis, right? Okay, now inside the testis there are number of seminiferous tubules are there. Each seminiferous tubule it is lined by what? The germinal epithelium. Okay, now so in the germinal epithelium the two types of cells are there, spermatogonial cells and the Sertoli cells. So spermatogonial cells are the precursor of the sperms. Okay, now so they are diploid in nature. So the spermatogonia develop. How the spermatogonia? So at the time of spermatogenesis process, first the spermatogonia will undergoes a mitotic, repeated mitotic division. Okay, now so during multiplication phase, which is the first phase of spermatogenesis, multiplication phase. So during multiplication phase, the spermatogonial cells undergoes mitosis cell division and produces more number of spermatogonia. Okay, so in that spermatogonia some will enter into the next, that is a spermatogenesis process, and others will act as a stem cells. Okay, so the spermatogonia will develop through which division? Mitosis cell division. Again the spermatogonia, the type B spermatogonia, they will again so that undergoes growth, they form primary spermatocytes, then the primary cytes will undergo meiosis first and form secondary spermatocytes, and secondary spermatocytes undergo meiosis second. So here which type of cell division occurs to form spermatogonia? That is mitosis cell division. Option is 2. And question number 16. In mammals, the onset of pregnancy causes secretion of testosterone, degeneration of the ovary, inhibition of further ovulation and inhibition of fertilization. So once the implantation occurs successfully, that is the beginning of pregnancy. Okay, now so once the pregnancy occurs, so it is the level of FSH and LH will be level is down now, so that inhibits the further follicular development. So in mammals the onset of pregnancy causes the inhibition of further ovulation. It is because of the absence of folliculogenesis. Okay, so that the option is third one. Next, question number 17. Relaxin is produced by a ovary, testis, adrenal, pituitary gland. I already said the relaxin hormone in the given option, the relaxin hormone is produced by the corpus luteum of the ovary, and relaxin is also secreted by placenta also, and the corpus luteum will also secrete the relaxin. Next is question number 20. Select the correct sequence of transport of sperm cells in the male reproductive system. Transport of sperm cells. So where the sperms are produced? The sperms are produced in the seminiferous tubules of the testis. So once they are produced in the seminiferous tubule, they are carried through the duct system. Okay. So you already know about the pathway of sperm conduction. Okay. So where they are produced, seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. The seminiferous tubules will open into tubuli recti, and the tubuli recti will open into retate testis, and the retate testis will open into vasa efferentia, and vasa efferentia will open into epididymis. So vasa efferentia will open into epididymis, and epididymis will opens into vas deferens, and vas deferens will open into ejaculatory duct, then ejaculatory duct will open into urethra, and urethra to outside, that is urethral meatus. So this is the pathway of sperm conduction. They are given 4 options here. So in the first options they have given testis, epididymis, vasa efferentia, retate testis, inguinal canal and urethra. And in the second option they have given seminiferous tubules, retate testis, vasa efferentia. So in the second option they have given seminiferous tubules. They are not given tubuli recti, and they directly given retate testis, vasa efferentia, then epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, urethra, and finally to the urethral meatus. Okay na? So which is the right option then? Second one. Okay. So if they are not given tubuli recti here, if they are not given tubuli recti, you can directly go for retate testis. If they have given tubuli recti, so you have to go through this. Okay, seminiferous tubules, then tubuli recti, and then retate testis. Okay, if they are not given tubuli recti, you can directly go for seminiferous tubules and retate testis. Okay, so which is the correct option? The second option. Next is question number 22. In human female, the blastocyst gets implanted in the endometrium by tropoblast layer, forms the placenta even before implantation, gets implanted into the uterus 3 days after ovulation, gets nutrition from the uterine endometrial secretion only after the implantation. So they are given 4 options. So what is the first option? Gets implanted into the endometrium by the tropoblast layer. It is correct only. Okay, now once the blastocyst forms, the tropoblast layer will produces, differentiate it, proliferate and produces 2 layers. One is the syncytial tropoblast and another one is the cytotrophoblast. Syncytial trophoblast is the outermost one and which doesn't have a distinct cell boundaries, and it will produce the chorionic villi that closely interdigitated with the endometrium lining of the uterus, so that the blastocyst get embedded into the uterus lining. So that is what the implantation. So first option is correct. It gets in human female, the blastocyst gets implanted in endometrium by the tropoblast layer. And the second, what they are given second option, forms the placenta even before implantation. Placenta is formed only after the implantation. Gets implanted into uterus 3 days after ovulation. No, the blastocyst implantation occur the 7th day after implantation. After ovulation. So the implantation begins the 7th day after fertilization, and here they were given gets implanted into uterus 3 days after ovulation, but the implantation occurs after the 7th day after fertilization. It will get nutrition from the uterine endometrial secretion only after implantation. So no, it will get that when it is in the morula stage only, the morula will absorbing the nutrients from the uterine cavity, not only after the implantation, before implantation also it will get that is nutrients from the uterine cavity. So the correct option is what? The first one. That is, in human female, the blastocyst gets implanted in the endometrium by tropoblast layer. Now, the question number 23rd. The signals for parturition originate from placenta only, placenta as well as fully developed fetus, oxytocin released from the maternal pituitary, and the fully developed fetus only. So the signals for parturition originate from the placenta as well as fully developed fetus. Okay, so that we already discussed in the last session, right? So option is 2. Then hormone responsible for parturition is produced by anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary, pineal gland and hypothalamus. Hormone responsible for parturition is produced. See, which is the hormone responsible for? Which is the hormone responsible for parturition? That is oxytocin. So the oxytocin is released by the neurosecretory cells of hypothalamus. So what is the correct option? Hypothalamus. That is the fourth one. 3 germ layers are formed during which stage of embryonic development? So 3 germ layers. When they form, what are the 3 germ layers? Ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm, right? Okay, now when these 3 primary germ layers are formed, it is during gastrulation, right? So they are given 4 options here. The first option is morula, second is blastula, third is gastrula, and the fourth is in any 2 stages. So the 3 primary germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm, is formed during the gastrula stage of embryonic development. So where during gastrulation the bilaminar embryonic disc gets converted into a trilaminar embryonic disc. Okay, so the option is the third option. Correct option is the third option, that is gastrula. And question number 31. The stage of embryo development at which implantation occurs in human female is morula, zygote, blastocyst, morula. So implantation will occur in which stage of embryonic development? Is it morula? No. Zygote? No. That is blastocyst. So once the blastocyst forms, it gets implanted into the endometrium lining of the uterus. Okay. Answer is the third one, blastocyst. Question number 32. Alveolar growth in the mammary gland is a function of thyroxine, estrogen, ANF, oxytocin. So alveolar growth in mammary glands, it is because of which hormone? The estrogen hormone. Okay, so the estrogen hormone, it is responsible for estrogen along with progesterone, it is responsible for the development of mammary gland. Okay, so here they have given estrogen, so the option is the second one, estrogen. Each mammary gland consists of glandular tissue and fat and milk secreted by the gastric glands, only glandular tissue and only fat. So I already know in mammary glands, so there are 3 tissues are present. No, one is the mammary, that is glandular tissue. The first one is the glandular tissue, and the second one is the connective tissue, and the third one is fatty tissue. All the 3 are present in the mammary glands, but here they are not given the connective tissue, they have given only the 2 tissues, that is glandular tissue and the fat. So not only glandular tissue, not only fat, and not the milk secreted by the gastric gland. So the option is each mammary gland consists of glandular tissue and the fat. 7. A morula can be differentiated from blastocyst in presence of cavity, presence of morule, presence of yolk and absence of cavity. How a morula can be differentiated from the blastocyst? So morula, it is a solid mass of that 8 to 16 celled stage. It is called as what? The morula. It is a solid, means it doesn't have any cavity, whereas blastocyst is having, you know the structure of blastocyst, right? Outermost layer is trophoblast. Inner side it is having a inner cell mass and a cavity is present. No, what is that cavity called? Blastocele cavity. So how we will differentiate morula from blastocyst? So in the morula there is no cavity by the absence of cavity. Thick yellow high protein fluid produced by mammary glands of a woman during the first 2 to 3 days after the childbirth. Meconium, hymen, cumulus oophorus and colostrum. So I already said the colostrum, it is the first milk secreted during the initial stages of lactation. Okay, so that is very rich in nutrients and protein, lactose and no fat, and it is also rich in antibodies. Okay, so this thick yellow high protein fluid produced by the mammary glands of a woman during the first 2 to 3 days after the childbirth is colostrum. Option is 4. Question number 46. In ectopic pregnancy, the fetus grows in vagina, fallopian tube, uterus, body cavity. So in ectopic pregnancy, that fetus, it will grows in the fallopian tube. So that is called as tubal pregnancy. So that should not happen. It is dangerous. See, once the fertilization happens, so that fertilization results in zygote. Once the zygote forms, it keeps on moving towards the uterus. So while moving towards the uterus only, it will start dividing. Initial stages of cleavage will occur in the fallopian tube itself. Okay. So by the time morula, that at the end of the fourth day after fertilization, that has to reach the uterus. It will reach the uterus. If it fails to reach the uterus, so then the implantation occur in the region of fallopian tube only. So there only the fetal development will start. Okay. So that type of pregnancy, that is, it is called as ectopic pregnancy. Okay. So in ectopic pregnancy, that fetus grows in fallopian tube. Now, second maturation division of mammalian egg completes in. Second maturation division is the second meiosis. Okay. So when the in oogenesis process I discussed, the second meiosis, it will get arrested at metaphase second. So when it will complete its metaphase second, so after the sperm entry into the egg, until the nuclei of the sperm and ovum fuse, and in Graafian follicle soon after first maturation division, and shortly after the ovulation before entry into the fallopian tube. Okay. So the second maturation division of mammalian egg completes. Okay. When the secondary oocyte completes its meiosis second, after the entry of the sperm into the egg. Okay. The entry of sperm into the secondary oocyte stimulates the secondary oocyte to complete its meiosis second. So the option is the first one, after the sperm entry into the secondary oocyte. Next, question number 52. Choose the correct sequence of structure of ovum from outside to inside. The first option they are given corona radiata, zona pellucida, vitelline membrane, pre-vitelline space. So I will draw the diagram. Secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Immediately, so this is what the plasma membrane of the oocyte, that is called as oolemma. Immediately after to plasma membrane, there is a layer that is called as what? Zona pellucida. Zona pellucida, and surrounding the zona pellucida, corona radiata cells. Corona radiata cells. Okay, na? See what they are given here. That question number 52. Choose the correct sequence of structure of ovum from outside to inside. What is there outside? Corona radiata. Inner to corona radiata, what is there? Zona pellucida. Okay, so next to zona pellucida there is a plasma membrane, but inner to the zona pellucida, that cavity, it is space is present, no? So this space it is called as pre-vitelline space. It is called as pre-vitelline space. Okay, so what is the correct answer then? So first option is corona radiata. Later they are given zona pellucida. Later they are given vitelline membrane. Okay, and they are lastly they are given pre-vitelline space. Okay, so but that is a wrong answer. Okay, so in the second option also, the firstly they are given zona pellucida, but the first layer it is corona radiata. See the third option, outermost is corona radiata, then followed by zona pellucida, then the pre-vitelline space, and the last one is the plasma membrane, that is the vitelline membrane. Okay, so the correct option is third one. Okay, right? Then see question number 62. How many stages of gametogenesis in the list given below are haploid? So they are given spermatid, then spermatozoa, secondary spermatocyte, secondary oocyte, primary spermatocyte, then polar body, Spermatogonia, oogonia. Okay, so what is the question? Question number 62. How many stages of gametogenesis in the list given below are haploid? Okay, so spermatid is haploid or diploid? It is haploid, 1. Then spermatozoa, that is sperm, it is haploid or diploid? Haploid only. Secondary spermatocyte, it is also haploid, number 3. Secondary oocyte, again haploid, number 4. Primary spermatocytes, so it is diploid. Okay, then polar body is also, so polar body is formed once the primary oocyte, it undergoes meiosis first, it results in a smaller polar body and the larger secondary oocyte, no. So the ploid here is also n number, that is n, okay, single set of chromosomes, so this is also haploid. Spermatogonia are diploid, oogonia are diploid. So how many stages of gametogenesis in the list given below are haploid? How many? Then it is the correct option is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the correct option is fourth one. Which hormone is secreted in a woman if pregnancy has occurred? Estrogen, progesterone, luteinizing hormone, human chorionic gonadotropin. So which hormone secreted in a woman if pregnancy has occurred? So when the pregnancy is confirmed, once the implantation occurs successfully. Okay, so once the implantation occurs successfully, that is the beginning of pregnancy. So it is confirmed by the release of which hormone? Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. What chorionic will I know? That a syncytial trophoblast know. So after the implantation, that syncytial trophoblast cells will secrete a hormone that is called as human chorionic gonadotropin. Okay. So if human chorionic gonadotropin is detected in the urine, so that is that confirms that lady is pregnant. Okay. So which hormone is secreted in a woman if pregnancy has occurred? Human chorionic gonadotropin. Question number 77. Pseudo-stratified non-ciliated epithelium forms the lining of. They are given 4 options. The first option is oviduct. The second one is branchioles, the third is trachea, and the fourth one is epididymis. Oviduct, fallopian tube, it is internally lined by ciliated epithelium. And branchioles and trachea, respiratory tract, it is lined with ciliated epithelium. Epididymis, it is lined with pseudo-stratified non-ciliated epithelium. Pseudo-stratified means what? It is single layer only, but because of the position of the cells in different height, it looks like a many layers. So that's why it is called a pseudo-stratified. without cilia, that is non-ciliated epithelium. Okay, pseudo-stratified non-ciliated epithelium forms the lining of oviduct, bronchioles, trachea and epididymis. So the right option is what? Because oviduct, bronchioles and trachea all are lined by ciliated epithelium, but the epididymis, it is lined by pseudo-stratified non-ciliated epithelium. A cell, question number 79. A cell formed from cleavage is called as blastomere, blastopore, blastula, morula. Okay, so once the cleavage occur, the resulting cells, so the zygote undergoes mitosis, no. So when it divides mitotically, the daughter cells are formed, no. Those daughter cells are called as what? Blastomeres. Okay, so the option is first one. Corpus spongiosum occurs in. So you know that the two erectile tissues which are present in the penis, one is the corpora cavernosa and another one is corpus spongiosum. Okay, so the corpus spongiosum occurs in ovary, penis, testis, uterine wall. So corpus spongiosum, it is present in the penis, male copulatory organ. Option 2. Then question number 100. Oogenesis takes place in germinal epithelium, ovarian follicles and medulla of the ovary and seminiferous tubule. Oogenesis means what? It is the release of, that is the secondary oocyte, that is the formation of the egg or the ova, oogenesis. So where the oogenesis process will take place? Germinal epithelium, not in the germinal epithelium. So it is in the ovarian follicles. So for at the time of folliculogenesis, the follicles will develop, no. So in the follicles, the primary oocyte get converted into first the oogonia that develops, that increases in size, it forms the primary oocyte. Then the primary oocyte, then it undergoes first meiosis and forms a secondary oocyte. Okay, so where all these changes are occurring, that occur in the ovarian follicles. Okay, so the oogenesis takes place in the ovarian follicles. In breast, the mammary alveoli will open into the mammary duct, mammary tubule, mammary ampulla and the lactiferous duct. So the mammary alveoli, first it will open into a mammary tubule and the mammary tubule will open into a mammary duct and mammary duct will open into that is ampulla, mammary ampulla, and the mammary ampulla will open into lactiferous duct. Okay, see here in breast, the mammary alveoli, first it will open into mammary alveoli, it will open into mammary tubule. Mammary tubule will open into mammary duct and the mammary duct will open into mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla and the mammary ampulla will open into lactiferous duct. Lactiferous duct and the lactiferous open the surface of the nipple. Okay, so the pathway of milk conduction. Then question number 127. Villi of human placenta develop from chorion, allantois, yolk sac, both 1 and 2. So villi of human placenta, chorionic villi, which develop from which layer? That is chorion. Okay. Option is the first one. Then question number 149. Which gland in female is a counterpart of corpus glands in male? Bartholin's glands, clitoris, perineal gland, vestibular gland. So the which gland of female is counterpart of a corpus gland in male, or that is Bartholin's glands. So Bartholin's glands are homologous to the corpus glands of male. So the Bartholin's glands will secrete a viscous fluid, alkaline viscous fluid that helps in the lubrication at the time of coitus. Okay, so that the Bartholin's glands are homologous to the corpus glands of male. Okay, so I completed most of the assignment questions. Hope you all understood. Okay, thank you.